Okay, so before you start your project, have a little game plan. Take a quick look around, and we know we've got ceilings to deal with, we've got a window to deal with, we've got walls to deal with, and so I'm gonna mix up just a little bit first off, and I'm gonna do some test spots way up high, next to the ceiling, next to the wall, next to the window, and before I start plowing it on there with my sponge float, I'm gonna take my putty knives and kind of dip in there and see how it's gonna work, take a few tests with the sponge before I mix up a huge batch and go for it. Now see, once I mix up a big batch, then I'm in a quandary. I can't just pour it out somewhere and go for it. What I'm probably going to have to do is mix up a little bit in the pan, hold this out here, dip some and put it on there, and then slosh it up there on the wall. You know what I mean? Put some on there and try that a little bit. I think whatever I do, okay, yeah, it might take a little bit longer than a professional, let's say, but I'll still get her done. You see, after I mix it up, I'm probably not going to just take this and be able to dig it out with the sponge float very well. But you've got to use a sponge float. Don't think, hey, just use a different float, or just use putty knives. Just use 6-inch putty knife, a sheetrock drywall knife, and just put it all on that way. Well, you know what? I could take some of this and grab it, put it on the wall, grab it, put it on the wall in just one little section, then come back with the float and try that. So there's different things I'll try. See, now this bathroom's not very big, and my trusty craft paper has come in handy once again. I've just got a piece cut there and ripped it down and taped it down there on the floor. That's where I'm going to do all my mixing, and then I'm going to come over here to my project and put her on the wall. Have a game plan and do it right. Yes, have a game plan and do it right. By Joe. Make sure you got your bucket handy, and I'm going to fill this up halfway with water. I've got a little sponge here with the green scouring pad on that one side, and this so I can get in the corners and stuff. And I might end up using this, up next to the ceiling, obviously, because it's going to be nice and easy to get right up in there. And I'll use this big fat sponge, for the body of the walls. Let's do it. Ha! I started without you because I couldn't get over here and show you this area very well with me being in the way. But I'm glad I had that blue tape up there. That worked out really good. And there were some fairly large gaps right up against the wall in certain areas. And I had to use my putty knife in certain areas, almost using that material like quickset, because there's no sand in it, so it's just powdery substance, and you just kind of press it in there. And I went all the way around that window and stuff. And if you think you're going to do this entire job in a couple hours, don't kid yourself. I am soaked. I've got a second t-shirt on, and I'm already into it quite a few hours. I think I started at like 9 o'clock, but running the tape and putting the craft paper down and all that kind of stuff and getting ready. It's already 2 o'clock, and I've got all the tedious stuff done. I went around that window. I went up along that edge, the trim around the window. And then I had to go and catch that behind the toilet on up to the bottom of the window right there. And then there's a door down there because this is a jacuzzi tub, and they put it right in the tile. See the hinges right there? So the door swings out, so I had to go around that real careful. I had to go down at the bottom edge, and I'm glad I put the masking tape down at the bottom edge. I had to kind of fish some stuff in there right down next to the floor. And then there's a raised edge piece of trim there, so I had to fish some underneath that. And then after you get it all on there, you've got to let it dry. and then you've got to sponge it off. And so it all takes time, especially, see right here along where this door is, I had to do that, and they had some big gaps there up against the edge there, and I ran that with my putty knife and fished it up there, and then I had to be careful up at the ceiling line, and just one thing after another. This takes a while, and I'm not sure how else I could do it. You know, I just mix it up in this pan, and I take that knife and I put some on that sponge trowel. And had I had a choice, this sponge trowel here is kind of you know, it's really flexible, and see that the edge is already kind of turning up a little bit, and so is this edge, just a little bit. Had I thought about it, I would have got the stiffer one, but I wasn't sure how the stiff one was going to work, and so I got this one, and I'm making it work. But see, once the grout starts hardening up, if you mix up too much grout, then you don't have enough time to put it all in all these joints, because these joints are so close together. It takes some time. And so I can only mix up a little at a time, put it on there, put it on, put another little section on, let that dry. As I'm seeing that dry, get the sponge out, rinse that off. And I have 2 buckets over there. One gets really super grouty, mixed up, you know, with the sponge, cleaning it off the first time. And then I take the other bucket with clean fresh water, clear water, and then I sponge it again with a different sponge. And that's how I've been doing it. Now, you know, I got all the small stuff, and I'm soaked, like I said, and I got gloves on and all that. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up now, and I think I can do this section right here and show you how it's done. Now see, here's the mud, this is the grout, and it's already starting to stiffen up, and you can only get it so wet before it starts stiffening up. So now I got to get that on the wall. Now if I had somebody else here, I could keep putting some on, and somebody could come and work behind me. But hey, I'm here by myself, and I can do it by myself. Okay, so I've just been putting some on, right on like that. I can put it on the end if I want, and then I'm just gonna put it on the wall. Here's where I stopped. I'm gonna put it on like that, and then you're supposed to put it on at a 45-degree angle. You don't want to go straight this way or straight up. You know, I mean, you can at first, but then as you finish, you want to get it at that angle, okay? Because then that throws it in. And see, what you're doing on your first pass is you're pushing that in the grout line, but then you have to push it in, push it in, push it in, because that grout line's pretty deep. You know what I mean? So you got to go over it a couple times, and then you want to take off as much excess as you can. See how when I push on that, this springs back too far. I should have got the black one, but this one's going to work. You know, you can get the black one. It's a little bit stiffer. You see 2 different floats, sponge floats. The other one is like a hard sponge. Okay, let's make sure you can see this next little bit that I'm going to put up. I guess that'll work right there. Just push it in and keep her going. See, then it kind of pushes off to the edge of your sponge. I take my putty knife and push it over towards the end so I can get it back on there and go some more. Finish it off at a 45. I can put some in there and push that off at a 45. Okay? Just like that. Now I got some more in my pan, so I better put it on here. Before it dries. See, you just kind of coat the whole thing, and then once that grout starts drying, then we'll take a sponge on there and sponge it off. You don't want to sponge it off too soon, because then you're going to dig it into the grout lines